Ladies and gentlemen, let's cut straight to the chase. The truth is, at some point, we've all felt the sting of being misunderstood or even disliked. And here's the kicker sometimes. People won't even tell you they hate you, they'll keep it a secret, leaving you to wonder why. But today I'm here to tell you this. It's not about living in fear of what others think. It's about understanding why these feelings arise, owning your truth, and deciding how you show up in this world. Because if you can master that, no amount of secret hate can ever hold you back. The first reason some people may secretly hate you is one of the most profound and has nothing to do with you directly. It's about what you represent. You see, every single one of us carries within us a set of dreams, ambitions, and ideals, as well as fears, insecurities, and regrets. For some people, when they look at you, they don't just see who you are, they see a reflection of what they are not. Maybe you're someone who's unafraid to take risks and they're still stuck in their comfort zone. Maybe you've worked hard to overcome challenges and they're still wrestling with their own. Or maybe you've embraced parts of yourself they've spent their entire lives trying to suppress. The truth is, when you step into your power, when you dare to shine, it can act like a mirror, magnifying the parts of themselves they're not ready to confront. And here's the thing about mirrors, they're uncomfortable. People don't always like what they see when they look into one. If they see their potential reflected in your achievements, it reminds them of how far they've strayed from their own. If they see your authenticity, it highlights their own masks. And if they see your courage, it can amplify their fear. But here's where it gets tricky. Instead of addressing their own discomfort, they project it outward. Rather than looking inward and asking, what can I learn from this person? What can I change in my life? They find it easier to resent you for making them feel that way. Their secret hate isn't really about you, it's about their inner conflict, their sense of inadequacy, and their resistance to growth. Now, does this mean you should dim your light to make them more comfortable? Absolutely not. That's the biggest mistake you can make. The world doesn't need you to shrink. It needs you to stand tall, to be bold, and to continue being the best version of yourself. Because whether they know it or not, your light is also a beacon. It's an invitation for them to rise. Some people might never take that invitation. They might stay stuck in their discomfort, resenting you for being the reminder they didn't ask for. And that's okay. That's not your burden to carry. What's important is that you understand their reaction isn't a reflection of your worth, it's a reflection of their inner struggle. So when you feel the weight of their judgment or the sting of their silent disdain, remember this, it's not about you. Keep shining, keep growing, because in doing so, you're not just living your truth, you're giving others permission to step into theirs, whether they embrace it or not. Another reason people may secretly harbor resentment toward you is that you challenge the status quo. Now let's be real, most people are creatures of habit. We crave predictability, structure, and comfort. There's a certain safety in the known even when it's not serving us. It's why people stick with jobs they hate, relationships that don't fulfill them, or routines that keep them stuck in mediocrity. The status quo is familiar, and the familiar feels safe. But then you come along, you're the one who dares to ask, why? Why do things have to be this way? Why can't they be different? Why not dream bigger, aim higher, or live bolder? You're not just living outside the box, you've taken the box, dismantled it, and built something entirely new. And for people clinging to the comfort of that box, that's not just unsettling, it's threatening. You see, challenging the status quo doesn't just disrupt systems, it disrupts people. When you question the way things have always been done, you force others to confront the idea that they might be settling. You shine a light on the areas of their lives they've accepted without question, and that can make people deeply uncomfortable. Maybe you're the person in the workplace who speaks up when something doesn't make sense while others stay silent. Maybe you're the friend who decided to chase your passion, even when everyone else played it safe. Or maybe you're the family member who broke away from tradition to follow your own path. Whatever the case, your actions send a message it doesn't have to be this way. But here's the thing, not everyone is ready to hear that message. To some, it feels like a critique of their choices, even if that's not your intention. To others, it's a challenge to their authority, their beliefs, or their way of life. And instead of seeing your actions as an invitation to evolve, They see them as a threat to their identity. The truth is, change scares people. It forces them to step into the unknown, to let go of control, and to confront their fears. And when you embody change, when you're the living, breathing example of what's possible outside the status quo, it can stir up all kinds of resistance. This resistance often shows up as judgment, gossip, or even outright hostility. People might label you as reckless, arrogant, or out of touch, not because of who you are, but because of what you represent, the possibility that the life they've built on the foundation of the status quo might not be enough. So what do? Do you shrink back, play small, and conform just to make them more comfortable? Absolutely not. Because history, progress, and greatness are never born from people who settle for the way things are. They come from those who dare to ask, what if? What if there's a better way? What if we can dream bigger, think differently, and live fuller lives? The path of challenging the status quo isn't easy, and it often comes with criticism, misunderstanding, and even hate. But it's also the path of innovation, transformation, and impact. So keep asking questions. Keep disrupting the norm. Because while some may secretly hate you for it, others will thank you for showing them a new way forward. Another reason people might secretly hate you lies in something both simple and profound. You are authentic. You show up as yourself in a world that often rewards conformity, pretense, and carefully curated personas. Let's face it, society has built an entire system around appearances where success is often measured by how well you play the game, how well you fit in, and how good you are at wearing the right mask. But you've made a different choice. You've chosen to be real, raw, and unapologetically yourself. That choice alone can make people uncomfortable, even resentful, because authenticity is disruptive. It breaks the unspoken rules. It challenges the idea that we all have to hide parts of ourselves to be accepted. When you're authentic, you expose the game for what it is. You show that it's possible to succeed without pretending, to connect without filters, and to live fully without compromising your values. And for people who've spent their entire lives perfecting their masks, this can feel like a threat. It's not that they hate you per se, they hate what you remind them of, the parts of themselves they've buried, hidden, or denied. I think about it. The person who has always felt the need to please everyone sees you setting boundaries and saying no, and it stirs something in them. The person who has carefully constructed an image of success sees you embracing your flaws and imperfections, and it makes them question their own path. The person who has never dared to speak their truth hears you doing it with ease, and it forces them to confront their own silence. And here's the truth: authenticity is powerful, but it's also polarizing. Not everyone will celebrate your choice to be real. Some will envy it. Others will misinterpret it. They may call you arrogant, reckless, or even selfish, not because you've done anything wrong, but because your authenticity challenges their own insecurities. It's easier for them to project their discomfort onto you than to face the reality that they're hiding behind a facade. And the world has taught them that the facade is necessary, that it's the price of acceptance, success, and belonging. When you show up without one, it shakes the foundation of that belief system. But let me tell you something, your authenticity is a gift. It's rare, it's liberating, and it's exactly what this world needs more of. People may hate you for it in the short term, but in the long run, you're giving others permission to do the same. Even if they never tell you, even if they resist it, your willingness to be real plants a seed in their minds, a seed that whispers, maybe I can be myself too. Of course, being authentic isn't always easy. It means being vulnerable, standing firm in your truth, and sometimes facing judgment or rejection. It means accepting that not everyone will understand you or support you. But it also means freedom. Freedom to live on your terms, to build genuine connections, and to find peace in knowing you're true to yourself. So if your authenticity triggers secret hate in others, let it. Their feelings aren't your responsibility. Your responsibility is to live boldly, to speak your truth, and to continue showing up as the incredible, one-of-a-kind person you are. Because the world has enough masks, it's starving for realness. Keep being real and let the rest fall where it may. Another reason people may secretly harbor hate toward you is that they are stuck in a scarcity mindset. a way of thinking that tells them there's only so much to go around, so much to go around, so much success, so much happiness, so much opportunity. In their eyes, life is a zero-sum game. If you're winning, they believe they're losing. If you're succeeding, it must mean there's less left for them. This mindset isn't always conscious, but it drives how they perceive and react to others. When they see you thriving, achieving your goals, or even just living boldly, they don't see it as a testament to what's possible for them. Instead, they see it as a reminder of what they feel they're lacking. Your success in their mind becomes evidence of their failure. When someone operates from a place of scarcity, they can't fully celebrate the achievements of others because they're too busy comparing. Your accomplishments are measured not on their merit, but on how they stack up against their own unfulfilled dreams. Instead of being inspired by your journey, they feel threatened by it, as though your gain somehow diminishes their worth. This scarcity mindset also makes them hyper-aware of what they believe they don't have. If you're financially successful, they might fixate on their own struggles with money. If you're in a happy, fulfilling relationship, they might focus on their loneliness. If you're confident and self-assured, they might be consumed by their own insecurities. Whatever you possess in their eyes highlights what they feel they're missing. What's particularly challenging about this mindset is that it's self-perpetuating. Because they see life as a competition, they often act in ways that reinforce their belief. They might sabotage relationships, resist opportunities, or avoid taking risks, all while resenting others for what they perceive as unfair advantages. They focus so much on scarcity that they miss out on the abundance that's available to them. This way of thinking can lead to feelings of envy, bitterness, and even hatred. They might not express these feelings openly. Instead, they might manifest as passive-aggressive comments, subtle criticisms, or an unwillingness to support you in your endeavors. They may even try to downplay your achievements or spread negativity about you, not because of who you are, but because of the narrative their scarcity mindset creates. Your success challenges their worldview. It forces them to confront the possibility that their limitations are self-imposed. But instead of reevaluating their beliefs, they often double down, clinging to the idea that life is unfair and that you've somehow taken more than your share. Another reason people may secretly hate you is rooted in miscommunication or misinterpretation. Human interactions are complex, and it's incredibly easy for words, actions, or even intentions to be misunderstood. Sometimes it's not what you said, but how it was perceived, and that perception can take on a life of its own. Maybe you made a comment that in your mind was harmless or even kind, but someone else interpreted it as an insult or a slight. Perhaps you were assertive in expressing your ideas, and it came across as arrogance to someone who was feeling insecure. Or it could be something as simple as a tone of voice or a facial expression that unintentionally sent the wrong message. The truth is, people filter their understanding of the world through their own experiences, biases, and emotions. If someone has been hurt, dismissed, or overlooked in the past, they might project those feelings onto you, even if your actions had nothing to do with their pain. What you intended as honesty might feel like criticism to someone who's sensitive to judgment. What you thought was confidence might look like cockiness to someone battling their own self-doubt. In some cases, the miscommunication isn't even direct, it's hearsay. A story about something you said or did might get passed along, distorted each time it's retold. By the time it reaches someone else, the original meaning has been twisted beyond recognition. You become the villain in a narrative you didn't write, a victim of misunderstanding amplified by gossip or assumptions. Cultural differences, personality clashes, and even momentary lapses in clarity can also play a role. What feels perfectly normal or acceptable to you might be off-putting or offensive to someone with a different perspective. And instead of seeking clarification, people often jump to conclusions, filling in the blanks with their own assumptions about your character or intentions. Sometimes people misinterpret your silence, your choices, or your boundaries as rejection or hostility. A lack of response might be seen as indifference. Prioritizing yourself might be perceived as selfishness. Even striving for your goals can be misunderstood as a desire to outshine or compete with others when in reality you're just trying to grow. When these misinterpretations take root, they can build resentment over time, especially if they go unaddressed. People might start to build a narrative in their minds about who you are, one that doesn't align with the reality of your actions or intentions. They may replay moments that felt hurtful to them, reinforcing their own negative feelings without ever seeking clarity or resolution. Another reason people may secretly hate you is that they fear what they don't know. Human beings are naturally wired to seek understanding and predictability. It's how we make sense of the world and feel secure within it. But when someone encounters something or someone they don't fully understand, it can trigger discomfort, suspicion, or even fear. This fear often comes from a lack of familiarity. If you have a unique way of thinking, an unconventional lifestyle, or you've taken a path that differs greatly from theirs, it can make them uneasy. They may not know how to categorize you, how to relate to you, or what to expect from you, and this ambiguity can feel threatening. People tend to trust what is familiar and resist what challenges their understanding of the world. Your choices, behaviors, or values might deviate from what they consider normal. Perhaps you've pursued an ambitious dream when they've stuck to a traditional path, or maybe you carry yourself with confidence in situations where they feel unsure. Whatever it is, your uniqueness makes you an unknown variable in their world, and that unknown can feel like a risk. Fear of the unknown also ties closely to a need for control. When people can't predict or control how someone will behave, it leaves them feeling vulnerable. They might start to wonder, will this person outshine me? Will they expose my weaknesses? Will their success or presence change my environment in ways I don't want? These fears might be irrational or unfounded, but they're powerful nonetheless, and they can manifest as resentment or hostility. This dynamic often appears in groups or communities where conformity is the norm. When someone new enters the scene and doesn't immediately fit the mold, it can disrupt the balance. People might perceive this as a challenge to their way of life, their beliefs, or their established routines, even if that's not your intention. In some cases, the fear stems from deeply ingrained biases or stereotypes. People may project their own assumptions onto you based on your background, appearance, or choices, rather than taking the time to understand who you really are. This can lead to mistrust or prejudice fueled not by your actions, but by their own unwillingness to confront their biases or expand their perspective. Even your strengths or successes can evoke fear when they're seen as unpredictable. If you've achieved something extraordinary, people may fear how your presence might shift the dynamic or alter their perception of what's possible. Rather than celebrating your uniqueness, they focus on the uncertainty it brings, which can turn into secret hate. The reasons people secretly hate you often have little to do with you and everything to do with them, their fears, insecurities, and unresolved struggles. Your authenticity, your willingness to challenge the status quo, your refusal to wear a mask, and your ability to thrive can stir feelings in others that they might not even fully understand themselves. But here's the most important takeaway: none of this is your burden to carry. You are not responsible for how others perceive you or how your presence triggers their inner battles. What you are responsible for is staying true to yourself, continuing to grow, and living boldly in alignment with your values. Let their reactions be what they are. Keep being authentic. Keep pushing boundaries. Keep shining your light, even if it makes some people uncomfortable. Because the truth is, for every person who secretly resents you, there are others watching you, inspired by your courage, your truth, and your example. Focus on them. Focus on the difference you're making. And above all, remember that your life is too valuable, your potential too limitless, to ever dim yourself for the comfort of others.